I can hear it now. Fans take the field, and out of that eastern tunnel pour 215 well-drilled, well-disciplined Michigan bandsmen. They pour over the eastern sideline, they pour in the big block in, and they play the greatest college fight song ever written.
Gotta love the old Bob Ufer. Some of those I listened to, like the "Put on the Gloves of Gray," before the Ohio State game, just to get pumped up. Seth, how are you doing?
Oh
this
man,
week?
are you gonna be one of those nerds too? Because Harbaugh just released his family wall. Did you see the family wall yet? It's got like pictures of all the brothers and all like the dads and sons who played, and this is Seth and Sap level nerdiness here. Harbaugh has gone full 100% geek. Like he could work at the Bentley when he's done.
I love it, man. I love it. How's your week going?
It's tight because I'm going to be, because you know how I'm full geek. So I took an extra gig. I'm going to be speaking to a U of M history class tomorrow. So
what are you talking about?
Racism.
All right. It's a fun topic.
Well, it's Greg Dooley's class, and he brings in a ringer for the tough stuff.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's great.
It's talking about like the what happened in Michigan in 1934, and then comparing it to what happened at Penn State in 1946. So, take the class if you want. One day maybe we'll get one of these uploaded, but it's a good lecture.
All right, awesome, man. Well, that's great. Yeah. So what do you want to talk about this week?
I want to talk about Michigan's short yardage plays.
All right.
So we're going to go into our sharing mode here so you can see our plays. We're going to go back a week. We're going to go back to Nebraska. Just a couple weeks, right? So this is Michigan, 3rd and 3, and they're going to run the dive. Now the dive is a pretty simple play. Dive is run forward. Boom. Right? You're just going to take these guys, slam them forward, knock that guy back, and however far you knock that guy back, his linebacker's stuck behind him. So it's whenever that linebacker meets you, that's how far you get. Now, they're all happy. They just stopped Michigan on 3rd and 3. But Michigan's going to get up the next play and run it again. And if you run dive and the defense is just kind of sitting there waiting like a normal defense, just playing regular goal line defense, that linebacker, by the time he reacts to you, he's hitting the tackles are moved out of the way, and the running back is just running right down the gut. He's going to run into the linebacker, and his momentum is going to knock the linebacker over. In order to stop that, you really need to kind of sell out, right? So that's what teams do. They've been selling out. And Michigan has had to develop things that they do other than dive to stop the way that defenses sell out. Now, this is something they ran off of. It's a similar look, right? But watch what Nebraska does with their line. See how they're slanting everybody in there? See how all these guys are just, boom, heading right into this area where they're going to run the dive?
Yep.
So if Michigan wants to run here, you're going to get all the hard nodes, I call them, right? Like the defensive linemen are hard nodes. So he's going to be there. He's going to be there. You got all this meat heading right towards where you want to run the dive. Michigan's not running a dive, though. This is one of the things that they do to kind of play off of dive. It's called belly. And what they do is they take these guys here. You kind of outflank them. You leave one guy free outside, okay? Maybe even two guys free outside. There's the defensive backs. They're not going to stop you, right? You're just trying to get a yard. Okay, the idea is you're going to use all your material as much as you can to wash this side down and then run out the side. We're going to watch Mullings here. Boop. Look at that. And it works so well. He just gets all the way through to the end zone. But see what's happening? They're overreacting to the dive. They're going inside. They're trying, and they're seeing where these guys are going, and they think that's where they're going to hit. And they've got all this meat right here in the middle. Because they have that, all we're going to do is wash them out a little bit, have one blocker down there maybe, and now you got all this space to run into. You don't.
Yeah, and the corner number 6 had sort of tried to go around the back of the play, whether that was a blitz or whatever, but he's trying to get around the back of the play, so he's taken out. So you really have a one-on-one on the outside there. That's it's a nice little counter to them thinking everything's going up the middle.
Right. Now, Michigan ran belly a bunch of times. Here they're running against IU. I accidentally didn't clip the one Nebraska I wanted to show you, but Nebraska had a way of dealing with that. Remember how that cornerback was a problem?
Yep.
Nebraska had that guy flying in on the side to stop belly, and IU did the same thing. So watch the side over here, right? Michigan wants to. This is when they got up and they're trying to get Donovan Edwards a touchdown really quick. A lot of time left on the clock, but no, shouldn't matter, right? They're trying to wash these guys down. You've got these defensive backs, these guys on the side are waiting for it, right? And they're trying to crash down. Now, Michigan actually did such a good job that Edwards probably should have just gone back and scored, but he's trying to get away from those dudes, and that's why he doesn't score. So we need another thing, right? You can't, because what they're doing is they're still crushing everybody inside. They're just adding more and more guys. So here's the other counter that Michigan has for it. It's called down G. Now, you might remember down G from a offensive play that Michigan ran against Nebraska really successfully in 2018. Down G is kind of two things. Down G is pulling, so it's a power play, but it's also just a zone play. It's a zone play on the backside and a pull on the front side. And the idea is anyone who's on the backside is not going to be able to react to it because they're reacting to, they think it's inside zone or duo, right? And then anyone on the front side is going to overreact because they see the polar and they think it's going to be pin and polar getting out. Really, all you're going to do is use the guard. This is on the left side, okay? I'm going to use this guard to kick out the end. So remember how this guy's crashing in, trying to make things difficult?
Yep.
And they're trying to fill in behind that. Well, if you just kick that guy out and have a lead blocker for this, boom. You get all that
you're
space.
almost creating a second level with the blocking right there. You're kind of opening up the spot, and then you've got lead blockers creating a second level on the linebackers. You're trying to pick that up, and when the fullback does a good job here, when that happens, pretty easy touchdown.
Right. Now, this is also responding to dive, right? So they're trying to crash these guys and see how this guy's coming in here, right? They're trying to come in and get you really, they're trying to gum up the works. They are pinching. And when they're pinching, they're not protecting their edges. So that's why you're able to get this tight end. There's Barner. Look how much he pushes that guy out. That's the key block. This block on the end. Because the kick out block, that's probably going to go well. You've got a guy unblocked. Here, we're running it to the other side of the next play. But back to this one. This guy's unblocked. He comes up. He's going to hit a guard. That block's probably going to go well. This is your fullback. He's probably going to meet a linebacker or a safety. That block's going to go well. This is the block that really matters. And you're winning this block because the guy over here thinks that he's got to worry about this gap. He thinks
he's already going inside. Yep.
It's already going inside. So by the time he fixes himself, and you have to have a good tight end. Look how much Barner just moves him. That's what creates the space. And then you also, Henderson, see this guy's trying to fight back and get across there. Henderson has to control that guy a little bit better. We ran it.
When you really notice, Seth, how much Corum trusts the linebackers going to get picked up there by the fullback.
Yeah.
I mean, he really he trusts it and he stays inside him. A lot of running backs make the mistake of bouncing that out, and if you bounce it out, now you're in a foot race to the pylon. So he does a great job of trusting the block right there.
Yeah, down G, you're not bouncing it out. You could possibly, let's say this guy dives inside of the guard. The guard is trained. Any pulling guard, if you're a power team, any pulling guard is going to be ready to do that. You can't really see here, but say Zinter gets this guy diving inside of him. Zinter is going to be trained to turn him inside, and then the running back can bounce outside of it.
Yeah.
So that is in the playbook. It's the same thing here. See how the tight ends are just kind of washing these guys down? You actually have an extra offensive lineman in there. This guy's even trying to get in there. He's trying to respond quickly, but you still have this nice crack in here. And it's really hard for anyone else to affect it. But look on the inside. See, they're still doing this. See that guy's coming inside there. See how these guys are all trying to gum up those works. See how this guy is actually fighting inside a little bit.
Yeah, the D linemen are just trying to make a pile in the middle, and you're just taking advantage of that. I mean, that's what they're accomplishing their task in the middle. They're doing a good job, on the D line right there of taking it away. But no, I like it. The old. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the offensive line is, we have a much more athletic offensive line than 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I love the fact that we're getting across that fast too. That pull is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it's more what Michigan does, right? They're pulling their guards is one of their favorite things. Now, pulling the guard for a kick out, you're going to trust Zinter to make that block pretty well.
Yeah.
But watch this play. This is a little bit later in the game. This is when we're trying to get Edwards his touchdown, right? And watch their line. Watch this side of the line now. Remember how they were pinching in before? They're trying to stop the dive. Now they're reacting to this. See how everyone's kind of shifting this way? They're fighting this way. They are reacting to the dive and belly, right? So they're trying to protect that edge a little bit more. Now, Michigan still blocks it really well, but they got extra guys out here. So now Zinter's block really doesn't matter. He has to make the key block here. And if you don't get this block where your fullback actually kicks out two guys, Bredesen's going to win some points for that. But look, here you've got another guy trying to fight outside. And he actually gets, he's going to jump on top of, and that makes it kind of hard, right? Now you've got dudes in the way. They're trying to stop this play at this point. So Michigan still has the strength and ability to there's Tuttle doing a little push at the end. So they almost stopped it. Poor Donovan Edwards almost didn't get his touchdown because they oversold here to get all of this meat over here, right? They've got more players than Michigan has. Bredesen has to block two guys. They mess up his block. But when you do that, imagine if you were running dive here. Look at this. Look at the lane. Look at the lane for dive. Here's the other lane for dive. You got these linebackers going to the side. What they're not doing is reacting to the running back anymore.
Yeah.
If you wanted to run dive, you're going right through here, and that's an easy touchdown.
Yeah, and the other easy touchdown off that too is, at some point we're gonna pull the play action and go naked boot to the left right there and have a wide open tight end. So that'll happen. That'll happen.
It happened. It's happened before. We did it against Nebraska in 21. Yeah. Actually, they ran something that looked exactly like belly, and then passed it to. They had both tight ends were open in the end zone, if I recall. Yeah, sorry. In the middle of recording, it's hard to pull that up and print it and show it to you. But yeah, it was. This is Michigan adding things to their because their blockers are so good, they're going to win one-on-one. So you really have to sell out against whatever they're doing. And now they're giving you three different things that you have to sell out against. And you have to sell out differently against them. You either put a lot of guys on the edges to overload the edges and stop down G. Or you try to fight back inside on those edges to stop belly. Or you try to pinch everybody inside and try to stop dive. But you can't stop all three. So now you have to roll the dice. Right now you have a 33% chance of guessing what Michigan's going to run. And even if you guess correctly, they're still probably going to get in just because they have such good runners, good blockers.
Yeah, that's where, when we looked at that 3rd and 3 play, it's like, well, if we get a yard and a half or two right here, we know we're going for it on 4th down. So you're taking you're running a dive, which is a relatively low risk play, knowing you got 3 yards for a 1st down. I'll take that bet that we're going to pick up a yard and a half average. That's
and
nice
when
call.
they do guess, they do stop us. You remember Rutgers Rutgers last year. They stopped Corum on the 1 yard line a bunch of times. Now one of them he was actually in and they didn't call it, but they did get a couple stops that way. It was because they were selling out and dive and we didn't have something else to show. And then against Minnesota, we were using belly, and by this point, they're used to Michigan using belly to counter dive. So they had something prepared for it, and they shot a guy across the line of scrimmage, and they used that extra guy on the edge that didn't matter before. And then Michigan brought out down G, and that kicks that guy, and now you have an extra blocker there, and now you don't have now that just makes more space for the Michigan to run through. So you can't sell out against any one of them without completely leaving yourself exposed to the other. And that's now that Michigan has 3 different things that they can run in those situations, and they have more. They can run wineback as well, which they ran, I think, the play before one of the plays I just showed you. And they still have their power play, and they could still run play action, as you noted, right? So now there's 3 things that you'd have to sell out against that Michigan runs. They've shown them all. They got a little practice running down G in this game. They got a little practice running belly against Nebraska and Minnesota. They got plenty of practice of running dive. They haven't shown dive in 2 weeks now. So they can go back to dive. and you're probably going to get a response to something else. And by the time you actually really need it, now you're just guessing, and Michigan should be able to score pretty much at will if they have a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1 that they need to convert, or if they're on the goal line, they should be able to convert. And that's why they're getting touchdowns instead of field goals in the red zone.
Yeah, man. I love it. I think that this is a great topic for kind of the average football fan who's like, why do we keep running up the middle? Why are we between the tackles? Well, there's a lot of options between the tackles. It's not all the same thing. So that was a great topic, man. Realtorandlender.com, realtorandlender.com. Hit me up there.
You pronounced it correctly on this week's podcast.
I know.
I want you to know that.
Yeah, he did.
Spoke up for you.
I appreciate it. Not that anybody's buying houses right now, anyways. It's rates are close to 8%. Consumer confidence is low, but people have to move. So if you do, give me a call.
Yeah.
Seth, man, as always, it's been great. Hope you have a great weekend, and hopefully we see some more of the same.
Thanks, Matt. Go Blue.
All right, go Blue.